Okay, so we have candidates who are running for our offices. The first set of offices is the ARIN Advisory Council, and I'm going to ask each candidate to come up and say some remarks, and you get to learn a little more about them. This is good because you'll get to see them in the hallways, you'll see them tonight, have an opportunity to hear about them, reach out, talk to them later. So for the ARIN Advisory Council, first up, I'd like to have Carrie Richards come up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for taking so long to get to the microphone. I did not fly from the Caribbean. Good afternoon. My name is Carrie Richards, and I'm currently sitting on the Advisory Council with a term that ends on December 31st this year. And I'm here to encourage you to vote for me. Let me start by saying thank you for the opportunity to serve on the Advisory Council for the last 10 months. Being on the inside, so in the Caribbean, we see lots of things happening in the world, and we hear people say, yes, it's an inclusive process, yes, you have a voice. And it's true with ARIN. Being on the inside, I've been able to see the level of respect that there is for the process. The level of respect that there is for community consultation. The Caribbean is a part of that community, and as such, I feel honored to be the Caribbean voice on the AC, along with Alysha. And I think that us coming to the AC and being on the Advisory Council, not only because we're from the Caribbean, but I think we've been also able to bring interesting perspectives. So when the AC hears that there's a hurricane in the Caribbean, it's not just the news, it affects us. Connectivity issues, but getting back to the policy development process, it's rare to see, or it's rare for a Caribbean person to be on the inside and to be able to affect that process. The respect that I have for the process, I was given a chance to illustrate that respect when I took on the policy that Rob and I have been shepherding and I introduced this morning. So I just want to stop and just say thank you again for the opportunity. It's been a great learning opportunity, and I don't think my work is done. And it's been an honor to serve, and I'll continue to serve if you vote me in. Thank you.
Next up for the ARIN Advisory Council, Brad Gorman.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Brad Gorman, and I'm a candidate for the ARIN AC. Behind me, you'll see a slide that shows highlights about the places I've worked, the responsibilities I've had, the different segments of the internet customers I've served. But what they all share in common is my experience in serving the community. Community. Serving the community should be the goal of anyone who is on the AC. As a member, you listen to ideas. You facilitate discussions, you present proposals, and you make recommendations. All of this work and effort is on behalf of the community, and that's you. For years, I've been a consumer of the work that members of the AC has done for me. It's not easy. It's not always well received. At times, it's thankless. But it's all done for the betterment of the community. I've always said a person who wants to be the President of the United States is crazy. And you know what? They're right. It's hard work, it's tiresome, and you have 0% chance of making everyone happy. Some might say the same about a person who wants to be on the advisory council. And that might be true, but I believe now is my time to be that crazy person. So I'd like your support and your vote to choose me, Brad Gorman, to become a member of the ARIN Advisory Council. Thank you.
Next up for the ARIN Advisory Council, Rob Seastrom.
Thank you, John. I'm going to see if I can be lucky today with an iPad and technology not burning me. Good afternoon. My name is Rob Seastrom, and I'm standing for re-election to the ARIN Advisory Council. My day job is at ByteGrid, which is a company that specializes in HIPAA and pharma-compliant hosting, where I am chief architect. I'm part of the team that DNSSEC signs the root, and I run a tiny friends and family colo company. In the last quarter century, I've worked for large ISPs, small ISPs, TLD operators, a large CDN, and a big cable company. My background makes me sensitive to the needs of the whole spectrum, number resource users, large, small, and non-traditional. I've stood up here in the past and spoken about the need to have policies that address IPv4 runout in a way that is fair and equitable. IPv4 runout is firmly in the rearview mirror. And with years of experience in the post-runout world, we have made good progress at paring down legacy policies in the NRPM. Yet our work is not done. We can continue to relax requirements and make our processes work more smoothly without neglecting our stewardship responsibilities or creating opportunities for fraud. I'd like to thank my colleagues on the AC and on the board of directors, or trustees rather, pardon me, for countless hours of work to enact good policy. But most of all, I want to thank you, the community, for bringing policy proposals and ideas and suggestions forward whenever you see the need. In closing, I ask you to vote for me as a candidate for the ARIN Advisory Council. Thank you.
Next up for the ARIN Advisory Council, Amy Potter.
Hi, I'm Amy Potter. I have been serving on the Advisory Council for 3 years now, and I'm here to ask you to vote me in for another 3. I think that I bring a really unique skill set to this group. Unlike most of the rest of the people involved in this, I come from a legal background, which has been very helpful in crafting policy over this past term. I also spent several years building an IP address brokerage. That's given me a really unique insight into some of the issues that we're addressing when we're working on transfer policy, and also trying to address issues of fraud through the policy development process. It's also put me in touch with a number of different types of organizations that might not be present in this room and might not participate on PPML, but are affected by the policies that we work on. I think that one of the more important things that we do on the AC is we try to make sure that all the organizations that are going to be impacted by the policies we work on are able to have a voice in the policy development process. And that's something that I'd really like to continue doing for another 3 years, so I would appreciate your votes. Thank you.
Next up, candidate for the ARIN Advisory Council, Kathleen Hunter.
Good afternoon. For those that don't know me, my name is Kathleen Hunter. I've been a network engineer and number resource strategist at Comcast for the last 16 years, and have gained useful experience that I find would make me a benefit to the Advisory Council. Our team of 2 manages voice, video, and data for both commercial and residential customers. I've dealt with billing applications both in and out of the ARIN region, transfers, small ones, IPv6 resources, and IPv6 recycling. I've also spent a lot of my time working with teams from various technological backgrounds, as well as business backgrounds. Obviously, both ends of the spectrum have their own goals, and we always find a way to make the best practices and processes work for everyone. More importantly, I've been a member of the ARIN community for the last 14 years by attending and participating in discussions and meetings, open mic, PPML, and a variety of other discussions elsewhere. What ARIN and my day job have both taught me is big or small, no matter where you come from, your voice and opinion should be heard when policy is discussed. I'd like to ask for your vote today as someone that believes and has voted for the community as a whole. Lastly, I'd like to thank the nomination committee and the people that nominated me for the opportunity to run for the Advisory Council. There's an excellent slate of candidates this year, and I'm very excited to be part of that. I ask you for your vote, and thank you.
And our final candidate for the ARIN Advisory Council, Alysha Trotman.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alysha Trotman, and I am up for re-election for the ARIN Advisory Council. Last time that I was part of this process, I had a beautiful presentation and a view of Barbados from some drone footage that I put at the end of it. And I don't know if that helped my candidacy last time, but ARIN 43 is in Barbados next year, so maybe I did have something to do with that. But what I want to say is, the first thing I want to say is thank you to the ARIN Board of Trustees, as well as the Advisory Council members, who has made me feel very welcome here. It was very nerve-wracking coming here from the Caribbean, being one of the first to do it. I wasn't sure how I was going to fit in everything, but it was a beautiful process. So I want to say thank you for that. This here, we've seen this before. What I want to talk about is not my career up to this point, but over the last 10 months and my work with ARIN. It was a pleasure to contribute at ARIN in the Caribbean. Standing there before IT professionals, government officials, as well as service providers, and being able to tell them that ARIN truly is an open and fair process. It came across very differently because I was actually a part of the process. It wasn't like Narnia to them. It's like, I know this young lady. So I think it was an impact before them because they actually know some person who is a part of the process. I took great pride also in going back to my university, the West Indies, KFO campus, and talking to the Computer Society as well as the undergraduates in IT, and telling them about ARIN and how it fits into the whole internet ecosystem. I think it's a glitching system where you have young professionals coming out of university who can subnet the hell of a block of IP addresses, but have no idea where the IP addresses come from. So I think it's important to educate young people on internet governance. And they seeing me, who sat in the same classroom as them, being a part of the process, also convinced them this is actually real. I'd like to also tell you about how I introduced one of our IPv6 evangelists in the Caribbean to ARIN staff, where they were able to do a case study on the work that they're doing. And I was a shepherd, secondary shepherd at first, and now I'm a shepherd, a primary shepherd of my own policy this time around. And It has truly been a remarkable process for me. So I ask you again, it's been an honor to serve, and I would like the chance to serve for another 3 years, well, for 3 years this time, on the Advisory Council. Thank you.
Now we'll move on to candidates for the ARIN Board of Trustees. And the first candidate is Anna Valsami.
I sat on purpose in the back of the room so that I create more momentum. And also, since I'm kicking off the speeches for the Board of Trustees, I think it's only fair to have Tiga stand here. Just a second, actually, I need my speech. I hope you can hear me well. I got a cold. So, hello, everyone. First, I would like to say how honored I am to be here in a room full of such talented individuals, many of whom I have looked up to for years. I am fortunate to have the opportunity to actively participate, contribute, and give back to the community that shaped me into the professional that I am today. I have been with Telstra for 10 years. I architect networks for customers with global presence, complex infrastructure, and diverse IP addressing and routing requirements. My involvement with the RIRs goes back a long way. Back in 1997, that's when I started my career as a network engineer for a big ISP in Greece. For 10 years, I was the sole LIR administrator, and I had daily interaction with the RIPE NCC, the RIPE database, and other members in the region. I personally invited the NCC to come to Greece for the first time, and I helped organize RIPE 43. I think some of you in the audience can confirm that RIPE 43 was a meeting to remember, or maybe forget, I don't know. In addition to that, at Telstra, a global company headquartered in the Asia Pacific, I get the chance to work with customers across all regions. 3 years ago, I moved to San Francisco from the UK. And since then, my role, of course, is to design international networks for our North American customers. So since then, I have had the opportunity to appreciate and experience ARIN and its community. While living in the UK, I founded 2 non-profit social groups. By the time I left for the US, they had reached 1,500 active members. Bringing together such a diverse and large membership base has been an experience and a deep dive in leadership, in people management, in governance. It helped me understand soft power, consensus building, skills that I would bring to the ARIN board. Other things that I would bring are internationalism, experience on managing global multi-stakeholder networks, knowledge and understanding of the policies and the operation of multiple RIRs, the commitment to facilitate further the collaboration between ARIN, the rest of the registries, and the operator community. And above all, a positive attitude and a fresh perspective. I hope that this brief summary has given you an idea of who I am, my background, and my skills. I hope you take all this into consideration when you're ready to cast your votes. By all means, feel free to contact me here or on LinkedIn if you need to get in touch and learn more. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your trust in me, and I ask for your vote. Thank you. I'll take it. Thank you.
Next candidate for the ARIN Board of Trustees, Peter Harrison. Peter, 3 to 4 minutes.
Thank you. Governance. Governance requires trust. For ARIN, this is important as we have many stakeholders. They include content cloud, ISP, IPTV, co-location providers. I've seen them all, on teams launching Netflix streaming, launching Google Fiber. In the Caribbean, I worked from Barbados to Bermuda. I networked Jamaican tax collection and promoted Latin American trade for Trinidad and Tobago. By creating the Palisados Foundation, I encourage new global engineers. Our university student fellowships expand the Institution of Engineering in Jamaica. There are many ARIN parallels. This range of perspectives is valued and trusted. I return to ARIN through my data center startup. Our clients have supercomputing needs. We are in competitive Silicon Valley. We want to grow. My business, our customers, cannot grow without IPv6 interconnection. The relevance of ARIN is stark. For some, it is life or death. For others, the risk is stagnation. This concerns us all. You, your companies, your customers, and the communities you serve. Communities where IPv6 is a mystery, but the jobs it creates are not. Where regulation threatens internet speed, not technology. Where cybercrime is daily news, where the underserved consumer is forgotten. As the world changes, we are becoming more than a steward of resources. ARIN increasingly represents members who face these issues. Softer collaborations with unfamiliar stakeholders are now the norm, where the primary focus is often the outcome, not the technology, as we already see in the ARIN region. In these rapidly changing times, our non-policy community decision-making will become as important as that for policy. This is where I can make a difference. I will make a tangible contribution to how ARIN can respond to these changing circumstances for our members and the wider internet community. In closing, our community is effective, supportive, and vibrant. I appreciate the Wikipedia searches our discussions encourage. As a trustee, I will apply endurance, flexibility, and technique to understand the unfamiliar and participate as I should. My nonprofit board experience is rich. The learning curve invigorates me as it has so many times before. The ARIN Board of Trustees is a steady hand. Governance must be strong and trusted. For these values to endure, vote for me. I truly look forward to working with the ARIN community. Thank you.
Next candidate, Kathleen Hunter.
Is this on? It is. I decided that since I'm so short, I wasn't going to stand behind the podium. And it's after lunch, so I want to show you how quirky I am, and I want to spend maybe 20 seconds of my 3 to 4 minutes and ask everybody to stand up. And maybe stretch. It's a nice after lunch thing. Rob's like, no, I'm not going to stretch. Thanks. So have a seat if you feel like it. Basically, I'm yet another one of these people who seems to be a little bit of an outsider coming in. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of reasons, a few reasons to vote for me for the Board of Trustees. First of all, I do have a rich and long history within tech and within networking. My first role, first job right out of college, was actually at Ford Motor Company, where they have 19/8. And I got to do some interesting stuff. Even though we had a single internet connection, we still had a whole bunch of IP addresses. I moved on from there to ANS, one of the original NSF net backbone companies. And I like to say that my internet claim to fame was that I got to turn up the first T1 for Motley Fool. I moved on to Global Center, Frontier Global Center, Global Crossing. I did a variety of things, including some network architect handed me 4 routers. He said, here you go, set up these 4 routers. Okay, I tried to log in. The traditional logins didn't work. Guess what? They were Juniper routers. The serial number was under 1,000 on all 4 of those routers, and I had to figure it out and go get those 4 boxes turned up for the first time. It was always an adventure, especially at Global Crossing. Finally, I went to a couple of other companies, actually had lunch with some New Edge Networks people that I worked with a while ago, and then went to Google. At Google, I was the first woman on the team. I was the first program manager on the team. And about 5 months later, I was the network engineering manager at Google for about 1.5 years. And you'll see if you look through my LinkedIn history that I like to change jobs quite a bit. And so after about 2 years at Google doing networking, I actually moved into software engineering and did some other things. And so now I wonder if you don't actually need all those technical skills on the board because the community is involved in all of that. And so the community provides the vision and provides a lot of the, the technology. And so on the board, you need some of my other skills. I actually have a degree in organizational psychology. I facilitate classes, of which there are some classes there. And I do a lot of other things in meetings to be able to do what I call process consultation. So when things are happening in a meeting and they need to be pointed out, that's the role that I take up. So if there's conflict in the room and we need to stop and talk about the conflict, I'm the person who would bring that up. And how do we actually do that? And talk about the process of our conversation instead of what we're talking about, so that we can actually make good decisions and actually have those conversations. Finally, I have experience on nonprofit boards. And I think there's 2 types of people who run for boards. There's people who are the visionaries and the people who get stuff done. And I'd like to say that I am a get stuff done kind of person. And I enjoy seeing the process of ARIN, because I'm new to ARIN, that there is a lot of visionary process going on, and hearing our community, taking that in, and then figuring out what to do with it. So I hope you will vote for me for the Board of Trustees. Thanks.
And final candidate of the ARIN Board of Trustees, Paul Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Good afternoon. So I am Paul Anderson. In as a way of background, I am a CEO of a service provider based in Toronto and have been actively involved in the service provider community for the last 3 decades. My bio is available on the slide and in the meeting election guide, so I'd encourage you to read that. It has been my privilege to be deeply involved in ARIN for many years. Today I'm serving as your board chair, and I humbly ask you to return me for a 3-year term as a trustee. I'm very proud of the progress and accomplishments that we have made together. As chair and previously treasurer, I've worked hard to ensure a strong financial position for the organization while ensuring we achieve our goals and objectives. That includes creating and maintaining a modest but sufficient financial reserve and a steady but not excessive stream of revenue. We as a board made the difficult but intentional decision to reduce financial reserves for a short period to run a deficit, but to strengthen our technical development teams. We have now adjusted that plan that gives the organizational financial stability while still being able to meet community objectives. As a board member and leader, I will continue to look for ways to modernize ARIN while maintaining a fee structure, and will continue to look for ways to maintain the lowest overall fees while meeting our responsibilities to the community. Since ARIN is a membership-based organization, I am deeply committed to transparency wherever possible for ARIN generally and the board activities in particular. I think we've made great progress with increased transparency and information to the operations of the board. We've increased the board's minutes and are now publishing as much of the briefing documents as we can. And the community can now see in many cases what we see to better understand the process and what went into our decision making. We also took very seriously the feedback we got from you, the community, on greater skills, background, and gender diversity, and we have worked hard as a board to bring change to the board and the advisory council. And just recently, we added for the first time in the organization's history a board member and also 2 AC members from the Caribbean sector. Over the past several years, I've encouraged ARIN staff to increase ways in which they can get the feedback on operations. Most importantly, we've ensured that there are sufficient resources to respond and implement the feedback that we get from you and the community in a timely manner. Perhaps one of the best examples is the mention I made earlier of the significant increase in engineering resources to help clear that backlog of feedback and ensure new requests can see timely action, and we've received overwhelmingly positive feedback from the community. We've also stressed the need for operational excellence in registration services, with transfers being the primary way V4 addresses are now obtained. Under the board's leadership, staff have worked with all stakeholders to make sure the process is efficient and as quick as possible. ARIN has become busier in many ways that are different than in the past. Making sure transfers are properly and fairly addressed occupies a tremendous amount of staff resources. The organization needs to remain nimble while dealing with its new reality of having to do more with less. We always need to, of course, walk a fine line between financial responsibility and forging ahead to provide new services and development projects. We need to continue with our intent to provide best-in-breed customer services. Our customer service numbers show that while ARIN is not perfect by any means, we have greatly improved over the past 3 years in the area of customer service, and our surveys show that. As a board member, I will insist that this positive trend continue. We will look for new and innovative ways to deliver services that you, the community, want. It is crucial that we stay flexible and relevant. We also have challenges ahead in our modest but very important roles in engaging stakeholders, such as the sovereign governments in our region and the operator community as it relates to both security and privacy. ARIN will need to engage to ensure the ARIN is able to continue to grow while working to harden the underlying infrastructure. I believe in the next 3 years, we as the community will need to better reflect on how our community interacts. We will need to assess if the structure we have for policy should be adjusted to reflect that the policy as a whole has become more simplified. I'm very proud of the work I've done for this organization, and I don't take your support for granted, and I ask again for your trust. As we chart the ARIN course ahead, I will be listening to you, the community. To be clear, I strongly believe in bringing new people, new voices, and new perspectives to the community. I see many of you who I encourage to join, and I'm also grateful for your participation. But it is very important that this board has a clear vision for the road ahead and to be nimble and to respond to the many challenges we expect to see in its way. I am committed to the organization and excited about the role I can continue to play in helping shape the organization. If given the privilege to serve, I will continue to work hard, listen, build capacity, and be a strong voice for the values we all share as part of the multi-stakeholder process. Like all my board colleagues and community leaders, we are all volunteers. I am happy to volunteer this time, and thank you all for your patience and trust, both in the past and future. I'm asking for, and I hope I can count on your support, and I thank you very much.
Moving on to the elections for the NRO Number Council. We have 2 candidates. I'll have the first candidate up, Mike Arbouet.
Hi, my name is Brett Kavanaugh, and I'm running for the United States Supreme Court. That's just a joke to calm my nerves. Okay, we got it. All right, my name is Mike Arbouet. I am running for ARIN and our NC council position. A little bit about me. I'm a family man, a multilingual small business owner, a cybersecurity conference co-founder for the Caribbean region, and a certified information system security professional working as an application system security analyst for a security firm in Florida. I spent the past decade in security industry problem solving and helping other companies become more profitable. Currently, I'm a system application security analyst at a large cybersecurity firm, like I just said, that has allowed me to contribute in unique ways, such as the opportunity to draft a global disclosure vulnerability policy, as well as substantial role in the corporate effort to become compliant with GDPR standards and to fully document the compliance. I have also a depth of experience with connecting and creating opportunities for those in the global community, which include co-founding the cybersecurity conference that focuses on serving the less fortunate in the Caribbean region. Looking forward, these experiences will allow me to be a great asset for ARIN by drafting and developing policies that will lead to better lives for those in the ARIN region. My name is Mike Alboy, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
And our second candidate for the NRO Number Council, Louis Lee.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Louis, and this is Louise Hatton. I've been a member of the Number Council for many years, and I thank you all for the years of trust you have placed in me to carry out the duties of facilitating the global policy development process, appointing individuals to the ICANN board, advise the ICANN board on matters on IPs and ASNs, and now reporting on the services that IANA provides to ARIN and other RIRs. On your behalf, I wake up early for our monthly 4 a.m. conference calls. On your behalf, I travel to cities around the world to spend a week in a hotel conference room engaging with government officials, lawyers, and law enforcement to teach them about all the policy work that the numbers community is doing. So you should vote for me if you trust me to continue doing these things for you. I found myself on the council this past year that my decade-long experience is still very valuable when the committee working to appoint the ICANN board members stalled, and I was asked to not only provide guidance, but to jump in and lead. My personal stance on individual issues is of little relevance because my role is to be your voice on the global stage. So I hope you see fit to let me serve you for another 3 years.